Hello. Oh, did it properly for the podcast, guys. Hello, welcome to The Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Stream Street Day. Don't know at this stage. 200 and something? Like, someone keep track. 231. Whatever. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's me. God, it's a teeny Rob. That's what's going on. 231? Maybe. I don't know. Someone keep track for me. But hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today, I'm going to be picking up some custodies, talking to you a little bit about the stuff we know from the Marathi book, which is pretty much everything. I just haven't had time to digest it. I did the morning. I started writing my notes, and I was like, maybe I could talk about it on the show today, but I just can't. And so instead of going off half-cocked with all the information, I'm going to make sure the show notes are done like studiously for Monday night show, so I can impress Nathan Prescott with all the work that I've done, and he can say, yeah, that sounds good, yeah, which is fun. Hello, Smorgan, what up? He just said, just the okay in the chat, yeah. I have actually, so, yes, meatballs, okay, anyway, Smorgan, big love, I've heard you hard right now. If you want to come on the show right now and talk to me about why you're so excited, I'm happy to listen. I'd be happy to listen. Do you guys not like this layout? Podcast guys, I'm sorry. Hello, podcast guys. Hope you're well. Please stay hydrated. I'm currently painting, so this show might just be me talking. However, it could also be Smorgan coming on the show in one moment. Who knows? We'll find out. But I'm trying not to rush through it. But Patreon guys, couldn't live without you. You guys are angels. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm. The guys in the chat are talking about the fact that there's two of me on a screen, because I'm cosplaying as Marathi, and obviously there's Baby Rob and then Big Rob behind me, who both, you must take both Robs now, otherwise it wouldn't work. More Athi. Am I saying Marathi wrong? Wait, how do you say it? Is it Morathi or Morathi? I hope it's whatever. Blocking whatever you're working on in your head seems to kind of defeat the purpose of the hobby cam. Fuck, okay, hold on. I can fix this for you guys. One moment, dudes. Okay, check this out. Okay. Here we go. Let's try this. How's that look? Better? Right, anyway. I'm not struggling for guest donal. I just didn't want anyone on the show today. I had no one I wanted to talk to about anything today. Least of all you, is what happened today. So you can sod off, is all I'm going to say. Thanks. I am currently painting custodies, is what I'm currently doing. I've never been into Daughters of Cain, so I'm not likely to paint them up. Anyway. Done the introductions, and I'm just going to hang out with you guys, and is what I'm going to do. So feel free to talk to me about whatever you want. Someone asked me about the Goonhammer article, which I did read. Oh no, for God's sakes! There you go. Thanks everyone. Bye, Total. I did read the Goonhammer article. However, it missed out a lot of the crunch, and I don't mean to be rude. I think Goonhammer do excellent stuff. I really enjoyed the narrative write-up, which was excellent, especially for someone like me who's would normally be perusing stuff online. Very easy to have all of the story ruined, so I think they succinctly summed up the story, but I'm still excited to read it, so that's really fun. However, the Crunch article, so the rules narrative bit fun, the Crunch article, they missed a lot of information out. A lot of information out. They didn't talk about the fact that Marathi now can't take damage from endless spells, which is freaking huge. If we're being honest, she still can only take 3 wounds a turn, but now doesn't take wounds from endless spells, which is personally. I personally think it's a bit much. Because you can just freeball Marathi now into an army. Turn 1, just womp straight forward into the army. and there's nothing your opponent can do about it. There's no like, yeah, you can kill at the end of turn 2 or like the beginning of turn 2 or whatever the situation. But like they're only going to take 3 wounds, which is pretty nuts. And in certain scenarios, like Place of Arcane Power, like is pretty much like not an auto win piece, but like a very, very strong piece. And thank you very much, Yes Meatballs. I almost got it right. It's Stream Street Day 232. So close. Goonhammer Art Course says people used to stay in the little form as long as possible. I hear that wasn't really the case. No, it wasn't the case. Big love to Goonhammer. Absolutely big love to Goonhammer, and big love to the article writer. And maybe other people have experiences that I don't have, but I generally thought that most people tried to transform little baby Morathi as soon as possible into big Morathi, which I think is... there's so much to unpack from that book that I definitely couldn't do it in this show, and I definitely haven't had the time to, because I don't get any early access stuff to digest it all. So some of that stuff is just kind of in my head at the moment. I'm like, so Morathi's just going to run around doing what she likes. Also, like the utility of having 2 models is fantastic, because you've got one holding an objective at the back of the board and one running forward being a terror. It's quite fun. That's quite fun. For the Daughters of Cain player, not for everyone else. Yes, you did transform 100% of the time. That is what happened. However, whatever. Have I got my list ready for Hammer Time 5 yet, which is next weekend? No, I have not. Not yet. No, I have got my list. It's an Uruk list. Written by Mr. Nathan Prescott is what it is. So I'm looking forward to playing that next week. Biggest thing for double models is a caster unbinder that cannot be alphaed. Yes, let's talk about Morathi's survivability. We'll talk about that for a moment. So one of the other rules that they neglected to say in the Goonhammer article, again, can we just talk about the fact that I'm a massive fan of all the Goonhammer stuff? I think the article was really, really well written, and for like a nub who doesn't know anything, it's a good enough article. Like, it'll do. It's fine. Like, we're really just talking about the crunchy stuff. Rob, you had Simon on the other night talking about cities. He ran the event at a place 5 minutes from my house. Where can I find Simon as I want to start playing AOS and need a group? Skinny Boots? 5 minutes from your house? No problem. Simon Hall. So he's got his Twitter handle is Zwindhammer? Zwind? So Simon Hall. If you look for him on Twitter, and if Smorgan's in the chat, he might be able to share his profile, not his profile, his Twitter handle. That could be a thing. That could be work. But that's awesome. I can't believe he was on the show 5 minutes from your house playing Warhammer, and you haven't, you don't know him. You 100% should meet up with him. Him and all the guys there are great, so you should meet up with him, absolutely. It's alright, man. There we go. Scrivo with the fucking payload. Well done, Scrivo. Big love to you. Are there any Bugmanson rules leak anyway? Him and Gottschalk running around together could be a laugh. Not yet, JBM. Although I'd be looking forward to seeing what the rules are on that model. Hello, Hawkeye. What up? Anyway, what were we saying? We're talking about Big Morathi? Little Morathi? That's what we were talking about. So one of the crunchy bits that the Goonhammer article neglected as well. Again, no criticisms. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not sat here throwing out shade. I was after how excellent the 40k articles were, I just kind of expected something, is all. Right? However, Morathi is always considered to be your general. Yes, Hawkeye, the War Scrolls are leaked, and if you haven't got them, I'll send them to you after the show. Well, I'm sure maybe someone in the show can send them you. Morathi is always considered to be your general. Always. So that's a special rule that's in the book. So Morathi is always considered to be your general, even if you have another general on the table. So, and this is pretty big, Morathi is going to be able to be in your army and get the 5 up from Hagnar. So, you can only do three wounds to her, which you should be able to do. That's not really a massive drama. So the little baby Morathi, if I got this right, someone can try and correct me if I got it wrong. Baby Morathi passes wounds off to big Snake Morathi, and if Snake Morathi dies, baby Morathi dies. That's the situation. However, big Morathi and baby Morathi, it's the same, can only take 3 wounds. You can't heal them, same as normal, and 3 wounds per turn. So not per phase, per turn. And it costs like 600 points now. However, baby Morathi Baby Morathi is naturally -1 to hit. If you include that with Lookout Sir, that is -2 to hit at range, which is pretty scary. And then also, quite excitingly, if you take them in Hagnar, which I still don't know why you wouldn't take them in Hagnar, you're going to end up with a 5-up DPR save on Big Snake, Little Snake. So you can still make them fairly survivable. So you're going to try and hit the Big Snake more than you are the Little Snake. Big to little. Big to little? Oh, big wounds? Wait, no, little wounds go on big ones, surely. Or does little ones go on, or does big wounds go on little ones? I'll send them to you, Hawkeye, after the show. No problem. No problem. And that's about as far as I've got so far. I know that the sharks can shoot a net that doesn't let you pile in now. It's pretty rough. I'm not going to lie. Especially for only 110 points. That's a pretty good rule. That is a very, very strong rule. But I'm painting up some custodians, is what I'm doing right now. And yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm gonna go pick up my begrudgingly go and pick up some of my 40k books later, and then I'm going to be doing all my show notes for Monday later today on for our show. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But not every day can I just come up with some super fun shit. So I'm not going to. We've got some fun guests on for next week, and that's it. So I'm just painting and hanging out. If you don't like it, well, fucking tough. Little onto big. Dem's the rules. Thank you very much, Donaldinho. Little onto big. Yeah, little goes on to big. Yeah, that's what I meant. So little. So you basically have a wound of 12 wounds. Basically, both models have a wound pool of 12 wounds, and that's how it goes. Once it's gone, they're gone. That's it. However, you can make them fairly survivable. And I guess the key focus is whether or not players think that that's enough that they're going to include in their army. I mean, it's pretty obnoxious and always was the Ironhearted Cain, but I liked it because you could play around it with the End of Spells. Now that you can't do that with the End of Spells, I think that's quite sad personally, because it was a nice fun interaction that really kind of gave. I think better generals were able to apply some damage and some rules to it. Although maybe in a world of bound endless spells, to give a counter argument, because of bound endless spells coming out from Seraphon, then being able to just control all of the endless spells means maybe they could manipulate them onto Morathi much better. So I guess there's something to be said in that situation. Mav now never apologise for sitting down and chilling. I got tea sat down with some White Scar Outriders. Notice you're on. Keep being awesome. Thanks, man. I'm not going to apologise for it. I'm just chilling out today. I'm very much just doing a bit of self-care, painting and hanging out with you guys. And I'm very, very happy about that. That's very fun. The only opportunity I'm going to get to paint today. And as you can see, I'm doing a terrible job. But I'm looking forward to it. I think all God level models should have a maximum damage per turntable, scaled their wounds so they're around a few turns. So, Jog PLC and Twitch chat, everyone. So, by the way, the narrative sounds absolutely baller. I cannot wait to read it next week. I've read the synopsis. I think the Goonhammer article does a great job of the synopsis of the narrative, and I really enjoyed that. I think it's also, I don't know if anyone's seen on Netflix, there's a show about the Greek gods. Maybe it's called The Blood of Zeus. I think it's called that, and it's brand new, and that was really cool, and it really gave me some Blood of Zeus type vibes. You know, going into the belly of Slanesh with a lantern made from the realm of light. It was very Jason and the Argonauts, sort of yeah, very cool, very, very cool. I really, really like that. Big fan. But Jog PLC says, I think all God level models should have a maximum damage per turn per table, and I agree with you. I do think that this is my question to the Twitch chat. Would you like to see a Lariel with something similar? Because arguably she needs something similar, because it's interesting it's only on Daughters of Cain, and also anyone who's also buy system curious, you've obviously got the inherent kind of the inherent sort of like trend that we're starting to see in 40k, where you've got like Gazgul and the Khitans, who are all only being able to take like a minimum volume of damage. So Alarielle does need a new war scroll, and so in that situation, you are looking at it being like a design thing that the whole company, well, the game designers seem to be going across the board with, and reimagining how Morathi's rule works, and not getting rid of it. Like, you know, putting it in place one time in their first book, they could be like, oh, we've made a huge mistake. Like, this is uninteractive, or whatever the situation might be. However, now, we're in a new world where they're like, nope, we like that. We like that they can only take 3 wounds per turn. And also interesting about timing. If you think about when the Morathi Morathi book would have gone to be redesigned or written about, it would have been exactly the same sort of time that the 40k books that we're seeing at the moment would have come out. So it kind of makes sense that, like, over a cup of tea, or, you know, maybe in some sort of briefing, the rules guys from the 2 different systems had a chat, and they were like, we're doing this Morathi thing, can only take so many wounds. You know, I'm sure the other rules guys are fairly aware of that. And then they were like, that's interesting. And maybe, you know, and you could see how that the 2 systems could combine in that situation. And a flippant, like, remark made by the T station could have turned into, like, a system-wide kind of restructure, where we might start to see, like, god-level models have some sort of, like, wound mitigation, so they're around on the board more. Alarielle should be immune to everything except ennui. Alarielle should resurrect. That be thematic. I agree with you. Something like a 3+, get the whole Alarielle back. What do you think? Yeah, you're paying 600 to 900 points for them, and a good general can blow them off the table first turn, says Jog. Yes. What does Alarielle do in the book, says Kunigit. In which book? Asked the question. Alarielle doesn't do... See, that's the good thing about Morathi and the new Morathi. The new Morathi has utility in her book that's different to everything else that's inside her book. She brings something unique. A bit like Keepers of Secret, they bring something unique to their army. So they're great centerpiece models and also unique, just like the Leviatons, which obviously I know have got amazing. So now you've got to really ask yourself, when they do Alarielle's new model, are they going to do something that really, like, extols, like, her virtues and what she's good at? Yes, regrown from a nearby forest. Yes, there you go. See, I'm into that. I think we're all good and into that. Although we could start in one form and change forms, unlocking different rules and abilities that she takes damage, or maybe when she resurrects. I don't think they'll do that, though, because they haven't modelled her as 2 models, so they won't do that. With Alarielle's current war scroll, first resurrection should be free. Bless her. She has a tough time with you guys. Probably my fault. That's probably my fault. However, right, let's talk about the narrative. There's some pretty exciting stuff in there. The big teaser in the book. So this is a spoiler for right at the end, but it's not much of one. So I'll let you know now. The big teaser at the end of the book is the main Stormcast character, Van Brecht, or whatever his name is. He at the end of the book is released by a shadowy figure in a cloak surrounded by bats. Yeah? Surrounded by bats. Okay? Now, it's just an Easter egg at the end of the book. A Marvel Easter egg, if you will. However, we have seen some bat stuff coming out from Games Workshop recently. Some pirates. I know Tom and Vince from Warhammer Weekly are pretty much convinced about vampirates. I don't think Games Workshop are that brave to do pirate vampires. I'm more thinking that they're going to do your more classic Sylvanian counts sort of pirates. That's what I imagine. Although that scene does sound like a scene from Pirates of the Caribbean, but with vampires. It's Adam West. I'm the Batman. Oh dear. Your boy Manfred is going to break the realms. Yeah. Now, I mean, I'm very excited about the narrative personally, because it's invigorating. Like it is. Like the actual. I'm not going to talk any more spoilers right now, because that would be really shitty. Because I think we should wait. But anyway, someone needs to move me on from that because I do want to talk about it, but I'm not going to because that would just be crap for you guys. Sounds fun, is what I'm going to say. Let's just do that. I don't want to but the idea that vampires are coming is sweet, and I'm very, very excited to see that coalesce and unfold. Especially to my man. Wait, is Donal still in the chat? Because he's got a special place. Vampires in his heart. Bats, Far Stretch, Malarian, hurry the hell up. It's Deeks Duo. As much as you want it to be, it's not. It's not it's not one of those, baby. It is, unfortunately. It's not Malarian. It's definitely vampires. Definitely vampires. Do a lore show. No, I'm not going to do a lore show, and I'll message you as to why after. But effectively, the problem that I'm dealing with is that I can't really talk about the lore because I know some of the lore, so I don't want to talk about it. That's it's that simple. Otherwise, that would just get super awkward, and I'll fall over myself trying to not tell you stuff that I know. So. I'm not going to do that. Otherwise, I don't want it. Well, I'm just not going to. Anyway, let's talk about something else. The One Weekly guys are pretty certain that it's Vampire Rats. I'm pretty certain it's not. I think we're going to go Twilight is where I'm going for it. They're going Vampire Rats. I'm going Twilight. I'm going Werewolves. I'm going Jacob. I'm going Team Jacob, by the way. I'm going the whole kit and caboodle, mainly because Games Workshop have got form, you know. Oh, Joel, thanks for subscribing, baby. I'm going to be grumpy old man about the rules and put the Numerati rules in the elegant but inaccessible for a new player, second language player, in the bin with a Bastilled and Save rule. 2 souls passing damage that can't be negated. Iron Heart ignores damage in excess of 3, but that wasn't negated before. So we're expecting new players to appreciate the specific difference in those words. Do better, Games Workshop. Angelis, good argument. Well played. Thank you for grounding me in reality. It is a complicated rule. It is. I think one of the big problems about Games Workshop is that their aftercare is quite lazy. And what I mean by that is I don't think it would be overly difficult to draw a picture or do an infographic to explain that rule. It would take a graphic design department about 4 minutes to knock something like that up. It really would. They can include that in their book to explain it. And then you would have a much more competent, you could, beyond first language sort of problems, I would hope. And I'm sorry that they don't do that. So it's a good argument. It's well made. The Bastillon rule is still dumb. Still dumb. You have to explain to so many people. Oh, Battlechode, thanks for gifting a bunch of subscriptions. That's nice of you. Yeah, baby. Thanks, Battlechode. Sparkly Manfred, Team Edward. Cheers for the 3. Oh, cheers, buddy. Morning, Reaper. It's weird. I drew Manfred this morning, and now this. Are they hacking my computer? They could be Scrivak. They really could. Games Workshop is good. For a shag, never a cuddle after. That's the most accurate description I've ever heard. Games Workshop really is are you up? That's what they do. They're constantly with the community articles hey, Dr. Gameplay, are you up? It's yeah, I'm up. What? It's do you want to get Marathi? It's no, I've got Marathi and I've got all the witch elves. That's how you play the army. It's do you fancy some snakes in you? Oh, all right. It's the first time, but I don't really normally do this, but sure. And then afterwards you're so how do these work? Just read it. It will all make sense. But it doesn't make sense. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Not that anything I've read so far wasn't super clear. But Mainly because I got the bullet points as well. Like, you just read the bullet points. I really want Games Workshop to make games as accessible as possible for players. The whole Ironheart rule could have said this model can never suffer damage in excess of 3 in a single turn, and bin the whole damage, the whole damn 2.5 paragraphs ran over. Vangelis, it's a good point. It's well made. It's well made. Bastiladon should have been worded more simply. While this model is the first bracket, its save cannot be reduced. Done. Semp the Great, I also agree with that as well. You're all right. You're all right. And also, let's talk about the fact that, like, I don't think the Bastiladon rule was ever meant to be that. Ever. In a billion years. I don't think Games Workshop, like, intended that. And then what happened was everyone was like, oh, does this mean it's a one-up unrenderable save? And they got backed into a corner. So the FAQ is the most... We've all done this. You know when you've had to apologise, but you don't really want to apologise? And so you don't, you say something else? We've all done it. I'm looking at all of you. We've all done it at one point. Like, you know, apologising is super fine, something we should all do. But at some point, hey, big goldfish, at some point we have. That was the Bastiladon FAQ, in my opinion. I still, at this stage, don't really understand it. Like, I know the bullet points, but if we could look at you too, like we're doing, yeah, no, I get it. Like, I get it. I said we. I didn't say I said we. It's collective. I was in that Aldum. I was in it. Anyway, we've all done what? I get it, Vangelis, and it's fine. You're absolutely okay to be annoyed by it. I would be annoyed by it. I think that's fine. They apologised in 8th then. They apologised by blowing the world up is what they did. Awesome first time I've ever been able to wait to stumble. What up, Derek Zimmerman? How you doing? Thanks, buddy. You don't have to apologise if you're never wrong. Anyway, let's leave them because I feel like they're doing okay with this book. They're doing okay with this book. Are they? Yeah, fuck it. Let's just sunshine on a rainy day. Let's just do it. Let's just give them the love they deserve today. Thanks, Derek. Thanks for joining us, baby. Yeah, the book seems to rock. Honestly, it's fun and I'm into it. Like, how good were the End Times books? Ignoring what happened at the end, like, and if we get that, I'm into it. Not every year, but I'm super pumped for this series. I am. Story moving on, cool new rules. Like, some of it's not that cool. I think the net thing. Oh my god, the net thing from the sharks is super uninteractive. I think that sucks. A ranged attack that means you can't pile in is dumb. So I don't think that's fun for anyone. Whether or not it'll see play, but I'm pretty certain it will be seen. 8th Ed, Jervis allowed ogre wizards to wear magic armor accidentally. They did a designer's commentary saying this was a mistake. You can't do it, but please don't. You could do it, but please don't. You can do it, but please don't. It's great. Great. Do they really need to stomp melee armies more? No. So Bow Snake's got 2 shots. Marathi's command ability now only targets 1 unit, not 2. Which is something that wasn't put onto, again, that article. So only 1 unit instead of 2, I'm pretty certain. So that means you can get a unit of Bow Snakes firing 4 shots. So 2 in the hero phase, 2 in the shooting phase. It's pretty good. They do mortal wounds on 6s now. It's a lot of shooting. We did talk about it on the very original Daughters of Cain review show, and I was just like, and it just didn't turn out that the points was as efficient as just running 30 mentalists with knives doing 1 billion damage. But you know, it's really good. There's a 2d6. There's a command ability that allows you run 2d6 and then run and charge, which is in fact, actually, I'm going to read it because you guys need to listen to this because it's just a classic coffee. I think we need to start calling these moments coffee moments, or like we've talked about it on the show before, where someone just needs to stop at a certain point. I'd also like to just point out Benjamin Savage sent me a picture of pickles. Can you see this? Pickles with cheese? Disgusting. Disgusting. He needs to sort himself out. Right, where is it? Let me go find it. In my billion screenshots. Dun, 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 dun. Come on. I've read this today. Where is it? God. Sorry, everyone. This is rubbish. Well, this is why I didn't want to talk about the rules, because I've not got them all in one place. I haven't got them sorted. So, come on, it's funny. Let me find it. Has anyone got it to hand? God damn it. Oh, there. Oh, I had it. Fuck. All right. Okay. Command ability. So this is the snake lady that's in the Shadow and Pain book. The Melusai Iron Scale, crafted from the souls of elves that blazed brightest with the need for revenge. The Melusai Iron Scales serve Morathi as elite war leaders amongst the Scathborn. I'm just going to say it like that, even if that's wrong. And are terrifying martial champions in their own right. See you later, fish. Yeah, right. So, this is the command ability. Wrath of the Scathborn. So, you can use this command ability once per turn in your hero phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Melusai unit, so snakes, wholly within 12 inches of this model. Until your next hero phase, that unit can run, still shoot, and or charge later in the same turn. That's great. It's great. If you're a corn player, you're loving that. You're like, sweet. You're like, I've stopped there. I'm super happy. It's all I've ever wanted out of my life. Let's go. Until your next hero phase. Wait, hold on. In addition. And then it just goes in addition. And it's like, why? You don't need to add anything. Don't need to add anything at all. Like, it's like cooking. I'm not much of a cook. Someone's like, bit more salt, bit more salt, bit more salt. Just add a bit more salt. What up, Tristan? What up, Tristan? Cookie Youssef. Hello, baby. What did Mavnav say? I don't know what he said. Tristan, what are you agreeing with? Anyway, love you, bud. In addition, until your next hero phase, you can roll 2d6 of d6 when you make a run roll for that unit. Why? Why is that in addition? I mean, it's cool. And actually, as soon as I read it, I was like, do you know what? They're snakes. This should go really fucking fast. Yeah? Rob, you don't know how to cook. Super true. I don't need to be attacked publicly about it, so that's fine. It's wild. I just don't really know how, why you would just throw in addition. In addition? It's like, fuck. Slither 2d6. There we go. It's about you being super chill and cool. Oh, that's rubbish. Thanks, man. You're super cool. I don't know if I'm that chill. I think Donal wants me to be less chill, more serious. Let's get into it. Anyway, the 2d6 makes me laugh. The in addition, fucking love that, because the coffee break. Sometimes like you feel like that they stop. They're just like half right the rule, and then they're like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. And then like sometimes they're like fuck. No, I'm not accusing them of being coked off their tits. They've had a lot of coffee. Yeah, why are they fast? Aren't snakes fast? Snakes are fast in my mind. I'll ask Nathan. And is anyone a snakeologist? More sexy vibes. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Snakes are fast, and that's weird. And I think snakes are fast. Maybe they're not fast. Can't pick between two rules. Why not both? It's the Marauder thing. Diadrin, also big love Diachasm. I hope you're here. Good seeing you. It's the Marauders thing. They were just like Marauders. And in addition, they just kept writing them on Marauders. Black Mambas can go 12.5 miles per hour. Is that like a sex joke? Snakes are fast. It's a herpetologist. Tub93 is a snake wizard, a herpetologist. By the way, that's what I call all scientists now. I call them wizards. People don't believe in science anymore anyway, so might as well start calling them wizards. Probably like be able to like pitch it easier to certain sections of society. They are fast snakes because they're snakes on the plane of Ooglu. Oh my god, I can't believe I read that out. Fuck me. Mongoose elves confirmed. That would be brilliant though. Wouldn't that be fun? Like ferret style characters or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's fun. I really enjoyed the story, by the way. Well, the write-up of the story. I'm not sure if I'd enjoy the whole story, but I enjoyed the write-up of the story. Anyway, the in addition thing makes me laugh. In addition, Leviathan's, some other little like key bits that I'm just going to throw out there. Leviathan's lost the monster keyword, so they can give themselves +1 cover from their cover ability, which can stack with the other ability, I think. I'm pretty certain. The other ability that you can get. Again, more to discuss on that later. So you can end up with a 2+ turtle, who's a monster. Not a monster. You can even throw him in cover if you wanted. Although he's going to give himself cover naturally, so it's the same difference. So you wouldn't throw him in cover. Ignore me. Ignore me. Whatever happened to the elves in the current Underworlds box with the goat legs? I think still to be worked out what's happening with those elves. What did the aspect of the sea end up with? I haven't read it yet. I haven't got that far. I apologise, everyone. I still am not sleeping great because of the tooth. Thankfully, I've grown a beard, so you can't really see. But this half of my face is quite swollen. You can't tell. That's why I've done Mini Rob. What do I think of Henry Cavill painting Custodians? I think it's great. I think it's excellent, especially as he is a gangster who is in The Witcher. And what do I think of Henry Cavill in The Witcher? Excellent, because I really like The Witcher. So it would be what a mist of time. It would be. So suggestion is it would be great to have an army of Go Elves. I don't know about anyone else, but it's like, so 40k players are a little bit like marined out, I feel. It's like, oh god, more Marines all the time. But my question is are we not a little bit elved out at this point? You know, there's like a lot of elf conversation happening. Lumineth. Maybe it's just because there was it was a bit of a dearth over summer, so we didn't get a lot of Mr. Tumnus armies. We didn't get a lot of non-elven stuff. I know there was Gargants, but I kind of skipped by Gargants. A little bit disappointed that we don't have enough elves in the bloody world. Not enough elves. We've got too many elves. So I'm happy that all the elf stuff has been put in this one book, so I don't have to bloody read about them anymore. And then they can all sod off under the sea or up a mountain, yeah. And then or now to their new city, and we don't have to deal with them for a bit. And I can't wait to see the story for the other stuff, which I'm very excited about. Battlechode has suggested, do you think we could pull a seance and get Robin Williams back to have his last game of 40k? Now I'm picturing hiring like a Robin Williams impersonator, and then some sort of mystic, and then doing a really weird bat rep. And as much as I really like that idea, I think it's probably too far out there. Better than being saturated with stunties. Diadrine, I disagree. I want some stunty love. That's what I want. Not effed out, but elves have always triggered PTSD response in me because they have been the shithead army for 5 editions. Sorry, Dark Inside, you can write shithead, it's fine. Colonel Cabbage, no go elves. Beast of Chaos are a thing. Make them good. Don't just make good elf versions of them. What's your problem, Colonel Cabbage? Are you telling me that bottom half goat is always okay with you, but top half elf you're against, but top half human is fine? I don't know. Finally, new Bone Splitter stuff. Ooh, yeah, that'd be fun. New Bone Splitter stuff. Maybe some new Git stuff. That would be rad. Come on, tell me you don't want to see some Git stuff in your life. I do. Anyway. I'm doing quite well on these bikes, by the way, Ron. I've dry brushed them. I'm gonna make a admittal here. I bought a new dry brush. One of these dudes. It's a fat fella. Can you guys see? One fat fella. Because it's stubby. And I'm in love with stubby brushes that are tiny. Yeah, that's my paint style now. I can't handle length. A long one just fills me with dread. Long is just unmanageable for me. I like a small chubby one. And that's how I paint best. Rob, the turtle still does have the monster keyword. Thanks, Elm. Someone told me it didn't. See? I haven't read that yet. So everything I just said about the turtle, wrong. Please take that back. Chode brush, yeah. Finding the new Blown Split stuff, yeah. That's it. Different strokes. I hope there's a Broken Realms Alariel that gives Nurgle, Beast of Chaos, Living City, Sylvaneth some more. Let's be honest, Nighthorn and Beast of Chaos, Sylvaneth, the three that are really desperate for some love. Three that really, really need some love. We so we all need. Don't you need painting tech priests? That's wild. Why would you be doing that? Yeah, they need. Alariel definitely needs some love, and also one of the subfaction things in this book, as far as I'm aware, it is allows you to burn and destroy even more scenery. So is it the Despoilers, or I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it allows you to burn scenery, and we've seen that come up a couple of times now. And obviously, Gargants, you've got something that can smash down scenery as well. So there's a real big problem with, in my mind, I think there's a real big problem at the moment with Sylvaneth even more, in that obviously operating around their wildwoods is so integral, but they can get destroyed. Now, not necessarily destroying terrain rules is fun, absolutely, but one of the limitations of the Sylvaneth book is their terrain rules and how much that they need and interact with them. So I think it's unfortunate and difficult that that more of those rules are coming out. So again, you would hope there'd be some sort of redesign on the forest. Wouldn't you? I don't know. I feel like that there should be no command ability. Just once per turn, a new tree goes down. Because really, the Sylvaneth allegiance is super rubbish. Think about the Ironeth one. They're just like, here's a new ability this turn. It just activates. The other armies, they're just like, you're faster now because you're further away, or whatever the situation might be. Not that, but the Sylvaneth are no, you need to spend a CP or a cast to be able to actually activate your core ability. Just doesn't seem fair. I think Vince and Tom solved a bit of Sylvaneth for their big heroes gaining the Wildwood keyword. That could be interesting. So just around the trees. That's really good. I like that. That's good. I do feel that 3.0 needs to overhaul on terrains. I think it will. I think one of the interesting things about 3.0 is obviously we're going to have smaller boards, and then we're also going to see some, I think, significant changes to the terrain and how we play and adapt with it as well, which is good. It's good that they're going to approach it. It's not necessarily good because they haven't really approached it well. If you actually look at the terrain rules over the past few editions of GHBs and other stuff, they've actually done a really terrible job. A lot of the time, they haven't measured stuff out. They were basically impractical. It really wasn't thought through. They still really haven't addressed the issue with flying, and 0 charges. They just haven't addressed that at all. They've just ignored it. But in 40k, that was addressed badly, but they did address it. So it being the Age of Sigmar's team's first attempt at rules for terrain, while exciting that they're doing it, does fill me with a bit of nerves. But let's just more power to them. Let's hope they just pull it out of the bag, which would be good. They need smash terrain, new plastic kit. You must replace the terrain that you've bought with new rubble terrain, TM. Oh my god, that's definitely going to be what they do. You have to replace the terrain that you've smashed with the rubble terrain, which you then have to buy. So I don't think Nick's in the chat, but if you're someone like Nick who's triggered by all the faction terrain, you now have to buy the faction terrain and the rubble terrain that it might eventually turn into. Archeon says, I have to say though, since Sam's joined them, the rules are getting a lot better. Yes, there's been a generally positive upward trend. There has. If not power level stuff, at least some understanding of being able to. I think the difference between external parity and internal parity is stark, and maybe they're not creating a very good meta game, but they are generally. Let me just think about it. Generally creating more dynamic internal parity books is a statement I'm maybe okay with. Let me think it through. KO. You can take pretty much everything in KO. That works. Tzeentch. You would always take pink horrors. But you could build them other ways. Some of the units are a bit useless. But yeah, not bad. Not bad. Uruks, definitely. I think they just need some points changes on the Bone Splitter side. Cities, terrible internal parity, so we'll ignore that. But you could change it around quite a lot because of the. So yeah, generally I think there's an upward shift where the internal parity is getting better. The external parity has always been a bit wacky, but yeah, I'd say that. Fire Slayers always Hearthguard Berserkers. To be fair, Semp the Great over on YouTube, I mean, who cares? They all look the same. Like, they've like got 4 War Scrolls. Like, everyone's always like really critical of like something like they did well with the Lumineth. They all operate very differently. I don't think that the Sentinels are particularly well written for like game experience. I think that's quite poor. And also, if you look at the upward trend that we're seeing with Morathi's now got a D6 mortal wound spell from 36 inches away. She's also a 3-cast wizard. The Firebelly just there, like, am I a joke to you? With his 1 cast, a weird knob shaman. He's just like, why am I some sort of like sick joke? Or you have to buy the same faction terrain and then just smash the faction terrain up yourself. That tracks. I agree with that. I think that's actually a better plan, personally. But yeah, Fire Slayers all the same. I'm just going to continue that joke forever, and I don't mind it until like one of the things I think I'm excited about in the near future. I know we're all chomping at the bit. Someone in the chat earlier was like, "What about Malarian?" etc., etc., and we're all very excited about these prospective new armies at some point. However, I don't mind them revisiting some of the factions. I don't mind seeing new. We talked about vampires a minute ago, but I wouldn't mind seeing something that wasn't like we didn't already have access to. Like, let's think about what books are like Fire Slayers with some new units would be super fun. I think that I'd like to see that. I'd like to see new Uruks, because we've talked about Uruks with crossbows for donkey's years, like long time. It's been like a constant conversation, right? So yeah, I just think it would be. I think it would be fun to see some of those armies like have new units put into them, very much like we saw the Gits. But the Gits was more of like a whole release, wasn't it? Truth be told, so maybe not. Gits is a really bad example. And obviously, like there's still Mortal Slaanesh stuff to come out. There's a lot on the cards to be released. So it's a pretty exciting time, all said and done. But I wouldn't mind them going back to some older factions that do have limited War Scrolls and give them some new units. And then maybe allow them to redesign an army a little bit more than they previously did, potentially. Does that make sense? New Eshin. Oh my god, Skaven. Yes, Skaven was the right answer, of course. More Skaven stuff is the obvious answer. Thank you very much for that, Hawkeye. Desert Sketch, I'm in lockdown again, so I'm starting a new army again. Yes, Desert Sketch. Going for a screaming FEC inspired by the Bravery Bomb list from your podcast. Oh, is that from Benjamin? The Benjamin Saver. Has a great list and super fun. So that's really cool. I'm glad that we've inspired some people. I don't imagine I've inspired anyone today, but Iron Jaws and Bone Splitters could use one more unit each. In my opinion, mounted heroes, yes, a mounted Gore Grunter would be great. It really would. Like, I think that I'm with you on that. I do think that they could do with some units. I wouldn't mind them having like a beefy crossbow unit as well. Can you imagine like a 5-man, very much like a 5-man crossbow unit who are just like brute-sized, just firing these like spears, like boom, boom. That would be sweet. A bit like Kurnoth Hunters, but I wish Kurnoth Hunters would get redesigned. I mean, Kurnoth Hunters at this stage are such poor cousins to like Sentinels and other stuff. Like when Kurnoth Hunters came out, we were all like 30 inches, whoa! And now it's like 36 inches, well, 30 inches plus 6-inch move, and then reroll hits, mortal wounds on 5s, ignore line of sight. Sentinels are just like laughing at Kurnoth Hunters are just big beefy boys. Iron Jaws handbolt throwers, make it happen. My personal wish list is the return of Beast of Chaos Beastlord on Chariot. Beast of Chaos getting some new models would also be sweet, and that'd be really fun. I want more war machines like old Rot Lobbers and Elf Ballistas. Hawkeye, I agree. And as much as they're horrible to play against in some situations, I actually think that they did a really positive job with the Mortek Crawler. I really do. Like, it's not the most interesting thing to play against. Like, I'll admit that. And I don't think shooting is overly interactive in some situations. In fact, probably it's not that interactive at all, truth be told. And maybe they should really figure that out sooner rather than later. But that said, I wouldn't mind seeing some more war machines. I would like to see the return of the Doom Diver. Heck yes, let's see that. I'm curious, is there a way to make shooting and prayers more interactive? Prayers, you just have some sort of mechanic to stop a prayer, even if it's I saw someone suggesting the show the other week. They were like, just make it so that you stop a prayer on a 6+, which I really liked. I thought that was really, really good. You just some sort of absolution of faith or something, or you just 6+, stop it. I thought that was bad. Not bad, badass. I like that. However, shooting is problematic because I don't know. I think the moving element maybe I'm not sure. Does anyone here maybe that it's a myth? I don't know. I'm going to ask you all now. Do you find shooting uninteractive? I mean, 40k is fucking popular, man. It's full of shooting. That's my question to you. Do you find shooting uninteractive, or is that more of a myth that a talking head like me generally pushes and isn't actually true? Because people like taking shooting stuff, they shoot people off the board all the time. I think that there's more elegance in moving around and doing stuff sometimes. I like it when you've got a mix of shooting. Going back, showing some age here, but going back to very early Age of Sigmar days, there was actually under MoComp there was actually a shooting cap of max amount of shots allowed in an army. I think it was 70 was the max shots allowed, because it was just deemed generally too powerful. I think was the kind of solution. If I want to play 40k, I play 40k. I want AOS to be AOS, Pete. Also, big love, Pete. Hope you're doing well. I hate shooting. Come find me. Shooting can be fun. Take lookouts to terrain and being able to shoot to an enemy engaged with another unit. Marcus Rock. Combat just needs to be interesting. I hate excessive shooting, maybe because I'm DOK. Says greed is good. I like shooting. It just shouldn't be all you do. Kill Team is good at making shooting interesting, says Elm. But it's more to do with cover. I much prefer AOS to 40k specifically because there is less shooting. It's more tactical and interactive game. Having half your army sit off the table turn 1 is not fun. Get to the chopper. I will argue that while shooting was predominant in 40k, and I felt the same thing that you did about it, I would say that the new 40k does feel like they've solved some of those problems because they've as much as 40k is seen as a shooting game, and a bunny is that, and they've got lots and lots of shooting units. Obviously, they have a lot of melee dedicated units, and they keep releasing more and more melee dedicated units. So there's a desire, I imagine, to try and make the game a balance of both. Probably more leaning towards shooting in 40k, and then more leaning to combat in Age of Sigmar. But I think maybe the tough part about the shooting that we've seen in Age of Sigmar recently is because it came at the back, or it came off the trend of the activation wars. So we had a combat was negatively impacted to the point where a lot of the skill was reduced. There was a period of time, a significant period of time, where the activation wars were as negative as experience as having your stuff shut off. And then obviously one of the ways to solve the activation wars was to shoot the characters off, and by shooting the characters off you end up with a more shooty heavy meta, but that didn't really help all the units that weren't also doing well in the activation wars. So it's felt like maybe the shooting meta has lasted and has been longer running than it previously was, specifically because before that we also had the activation wars as a part of the process. So I think that was maybe the downward slope, but it can be argued if you look at the release of the Marine book that Games Workshop has, not to tinfoil hat it, I'm not going to tinfoil hat it, but Games Workshop has got some form in this particular regard. You have the Marine book, which was broken as hell, and you're like, how could it be that broke? How could it be that bad? And they do some stuff about it, but not loads. Leading up to a new edition, maybe they intentionally have orchestrated some of these negative play experiences intentionally, so the launch of the new, like, if shooting is a real issue leading into new terrain rules which mitigate shooting, we're all like, thank you so much for fixing the problem that you made. And then we're all like, yeah, okay, so you've done it again. You've solved the problem by creating some cool terrain rules, which, if they do, is great, but they're also the progenitors of the issue at hand anyway. And 8-pointed Star Painting says, I think AOS is going to lose the priority role in 3.0, and I agree with you. I think that is, I think that's going to happen, and I think that will be the saddest. I don't have the energy levels today to be fighty, but I reckon I'll call some people some names at that point. I think that'll be fair. I'll just call them all nubs. So yeah, I think. What do you all think about losing the priority role? That's the question in the chat. Do you think they'll do something with modifiers like 40k? I do. I do think that they'll cap modifiers to hit and they'll +1, -1 all the modifiers. I think that'll happen. That'll be the death of the game, in my opinion. I love the priority role. I love the priority role. I think the priority role is excellent. I think anyone who doesn't like the priority role can just play a different game that does not have it. I think it's weird to want to structurally change. That this is the weirdest part. People are like, I don't like the priority role. It's like, cool, don't play the game. Just don't play the game. I was like, oh, I'll be so much happier without it. It's fine, just don't play it. Like, there's loads of other games. Just go play those. In fact, almost other games don't have the priority role. The USP of Age of Sigmar is quite comfortably the priority role. Like, that's its singular standout rule that is brilliant. Like, and people are like, I don't like it. I'm like, what a terrible argument. You don't like the core mechanic. If anything, it's structurally the most important, like, thing that happens in the whole game. So it's a stupid idea, and so I really hope they don't. I've been for losing priority for games pretty much filtered out players who really don't like it and kept the ones who do or don't mind. Simple, there you go, that's the point. I like it, but it's caused a lot of feel bad games. I don't think that's the case, because I think you know it going in. Don't know how you mitigate the bad parts, though. There aren't bad parts. So I'll break that down if you want for you. The problem with the priority roll is the amount of damage it can do to a game in the current meta, mostly because armor saves don't matter because of the insane mortal wound output. Semp the Great nails it. Let's talk about why the priority roll maybe is more important now than it ever was, and it's got nothing to do with the priority roll as a mechanic. It's got everything to do with the uptick in damage output. Like, it used to be that you didn't have the level of output that you currently do in Age of Sigmar. Units just weren't as killy. They just didn't have, like, at one point, like, a terror, and I mean a terror of the Mortal Realms was like 2 to 4 Star Soul Maces doing 43 mortal wounds. They were the terror. They were like, oh my god, that's horrific. Like, those were the... or a Stonehorn of old with Battle Brew. Like, and it still wasn't very good. It's not like the Stonehorn now. The Stonehorn now is way stronger. Like, so there just wasn't the level of output. And so now, yes, because the output's higher, you generally, like, on a double turn, if there's a double turn, there's more output coming. But there's more output happening anyway, truth be told. Like, you've got units that are just more killy, with more rerolls, doing more output, like 9, oh god, Stormfiends, or 6 Stormfiends now. Like, do some freaking output. But ultimately, I think maybe that is where some more of that conversation has come in. And also some of the armies that have been released, looking at you, Kharadron Overlords, are more polarizing. They are more polarized because they can only really play a certain way. And then because of that, because you can't build like a more mixed force, you end up with a more polarized game. Because like if you take only a shooting army against a fighting army, and that fighting army is able to fight you twice, then it feels way worse. A shooting army, however, with table, the other one. I lost a game last week due to being double turned from 3 into 4, so it does have a massive impact on games. I'm not saying it doesn't have a massive impact on games. That's not the case. I'm just saying it doesn't have a massive impact on competitive play at the top end, and it also doesn't affect, like, it isn't skill-based. The priority roll is something that is, and can be shown to be, comfortably, a skill-based mechanic, and not a random mechanic which just determines the output of a game. It's just the simple facts. Blaming losing on priority is like blaming bad dice rolls. Sure, it contributes, but you couldn't focus what's in your power instead of what's outside your power. Yes, Meatballs, I agree with that statement as well. Now, in some situations, you are forced, because your opponent has the upper hand, or as I like to describe it as the beatdown, you are forced to have to make other considerations because potentially a double turn can occur. But one of the things I think to myself when playing games, it can occur as much as it can't occur in some scenarios. Like, have you ever failed a 3-inch charge? Just rolled a double 1. Like, that's as impactful as the priority roll is going to be. Like, you know, and arguably that normally changes the shape of a game more as well. But ultimately, I think it's going to be sad if it does go away. And it's weird that anyone who plays the game would argue for it going away when it's a core mechanic of the game. Like, because I find the opposite, like, to give some counterpoint, I find the opposite in 40k to be super weird. Like, my unit goes this fast and can shoot this far, but my opponent's unit can go this fast and can shoot this far. It's like, well, I can never reach you, and your opponent's just like, yes, you know, good game, it's been fun, shake hands. This doesn't make any sense. Losing the priority roll is hugely relevant if you plan your turn into winning the roll, like betting on a double turn. Yes, Alden. Like, the beauty of the priority roll is when you play to try to win the priority roll, because that means you overextend. Like, it feels very much like battles that you read about in the past. You talk about Caesar and and his campaign, and it's like, oh, at this particular point he overextended his supply lines. Well, what does that mean? Like, how does that even really make sense on a tabletop? I think the priority roll is the perfect example of that. Like, you know, you just go, cool, I'm just going to balls to the wall it. I've run everything forward. You know, I've just stuck it out there. I plan on winning the priority roll. I've overextended, and then when I've overextended and I don't win the priority roll, there I lose, and it feels like there's more control of the game from my perspective. I find 40k way too linear. Like, way too linear. It's like, you're going to do something next. Is such a step down from playing Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar is so you're like, if I do that, okay, you could do that, or I could do that. There's so much more happening in that game. Anyway, not that I don't like 40k. I think it's great. If you're in a bad spot in a game, but you see an opportunity to turn it around on a double turn bet, would you really not take it? That's exactly right. Of course you would. Of course you would. Now, it's not always going to work out, right? Anyway, as often as you lose a game to priority roll, you win one, or save game due to priority. Yeah, like, it equals out, Colonel Cabbage. Like, the math is that it's irrelevant because it happens equally both ways most of the time. So, anyway. How an army is supposed to play against Tzeentch, Seraphon, and KO at double turn. Shooting armies have such a huge advantage, even with losing it. They have the potential that makes the opponent play more defensive. So the important part there is when you're talking about Tzeentch or Seraphon, specifically, is that it's got nothing to do with the priority roll that's the problem. It's the army that's the problem. Like, blaming the priority roll for the problem that the army creates is a non sequitur. Like, it doesn't correlate. Like, it's not the priority roll's problem that KO do too much shooting, or they do shooting too well, or whatever the situation is. I don't see how they marry up, because then you have other situations, and also they and if you see in those situations, it's always shooting that's the issue. People always remember the games that they lose to priority, but might only remember a small number of games they won because of it. It's a weird negative confirmation bias. I agree. And KO is unmanageable. So if you took it, see, the interesting thing about Tzeentch, Seraphon, and KO, if you talk about them, is you're talking about the shooting in those armies. But all three of those armies have teleportation as a core mechanic. Tzeentch, Chain Host, teleport. Seraphon, teleport. KO, teleport. the ability to mitigate the movement phase is far more important than the priority roll. Like, that is, like, when you talk about shooting the ability to project power at range, and therefore not be in combat, but the teleporting is far more important. Just being able to be, like, I can't plan for you being wherever you want to be. Like, there's no planning. Like, it's such, like, I think all teleports should just be out of the game. Like, there should just be no teleports in the game. Or it should be something, like, really functional, like the Briggy Dinghy, you know, and I don't think Bridge should exist. Like, there should be no teleporting in the game. Teleporting is far, you know, I might just do, like, a full episode. Like, teleporting, not the priority roll. You nubs. That might be a show. I'm going to do that as a show next week. Actually, there's a lot of strategy to when to take the double. That's correct. I've only lost a KO once at 6 times post-rework as DOK Hagnar, and guess what? Out of those 5 games I won, I still got tabled in all of them, and only barely won on points. Yeah. In MEG, historical shooting, MEG? I don't know what that is. Sorry. Which is a historical, shooting causes pushback and casualties. That's quite cool. Taking the double sets up your opponent up to W back. It does. It does. Oh, we've talked about that plenty. More than I intended to. How many eels is too many eels for Deepkin Army? Asking for a friend. Well, probably you can still just probably take all the eels, truth be told. Although the other stuff is cool now. I'd take some sharks, just because their horrible net is rough. I'd take a couple of sharks, because that's really going to help an army that can always strikes first. Like, for all round. Oh my god. Oh my god. I've just put that together in my head. Like, I just, like, worked it out. Like, always strikes first. Also, they can't pile in. What? Like, why? Oh my god. Right, okay. I'm nearly finished these guys. You guys got any questions for today? Please let me know. Please let me know. Don't, like, if the Broken Realm stuff, we're going to do a really big old show Monday night, me and the guys. Because I want to talk to them about it, like, get their feelings on it, hear what they've got to say. So I'm looking forward to that. So that'll be our Monday show. If I can get all the information. I think it's all out there. Looks like it's all out there, so I'll be reading that soon. 100% Tim Martin, KO teleport is the issue. You can screen shooting, but it's much harder to screen the fly high shot, and you can only get 1 or 2 chances to screen it before everything is dead to screen with. Tim, I couldn't agree with you more. The teleport's the issue, not the priority roll's the issue. So yeah, that is looking forward to the Nathan review. We all are. We all are. Let's see what he says. Question: which is more annoying, gobbo nets or shark nets? Whose is better? Whew! You're asking me the hot questions today. I mean, generally nets are just incredibly annoying. Thanks, intern Matt. I won't do. But if you do have them, send them me. I want to hear your opinion on that DVD I sent you sometime. Okay. I'll try and watch it later. I'm going to do my show notes today. I would say that the shark net is worse because you can't do anything at all. Yeah. Net's the most powerful weapon in the Mortal Realms. It's a good argument. Has anyone got a follow-up? Because that might be a show. That might be a show. Nets are the most powerful thing in the Mortal Realms. Tag those 40 gobbos with one shooting shark. Net will not do anything. Now I'm going to buy some sharks because it's my dream to put some sharks and throw them all over Nathan's nets. Would you categorize single-use deep strikes in the Kinari ability as teleporting? Green is good. Would you categorize single-use deep strikes as a Kinari ability as teleporting? Yes. Yes. Like eels have got deep strike and they fly and they move 14 inches. It's too good. It's too good. When you can start the stuff off the board, you can just mess it all up. It's just, yeah. Like, it's fun. Things like heart renders, I'd be like so cautious what I gave deep strikes to. So cautious. And also it doesn't make much sense. You get Terminators, you're like, boom, teleport, boom. I suppose out of a magic portal or whatever, but I'd be cautious. You can't say nets are the most powerful thing in the Mortal Realms after talking about teleporting for 3 hours. Was it? So I've been live for 3 hours. You fucking wanker. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, Sharks Move 40 now. Great. What are your thoughts about the balance between summoning, activation wars, and shooting AOS now? And how would you try to balance them better? Oof. What are your thoughts about the balance between summoning? Summoning. I thought it was a fairly nice idea. I'm not sure if it's true in that application. Fairly nice idea to have some sort of resource mechanic that you find on models. So the Eighth Quartz that you get for KO or whatever, and the Lumineth, and then to balance that out as having against summoning, because I think summoning is thematic and fun. I don't think the Legions of Nagash summoning was sensible at all, was super dumb. Just the whole unit back, it was not good. But building up some sort of pool to buy stuff with is quite good. I like that enough. Hey, Brian Sprollo. And then, but maybe in practicality it doesn't really work. Like, if you look at the Cities of Sigmar book, like, suffers horribly from attrition, which is kind of thematic. That kind of makes sense. Like, works. But summoning, I think I'd have to think about that more, to be honest. Activation Wars was just dumb. And Activation Wars was solved in the movement phase. The moving your units around to activate units was the Activation Wars. Should never put the Activation Wars in, so take Activation Wars out, throw it in the bin. Terrible idea. Always was a terrible idea. Doesn't work at all. Don't like it. Doesn't make no sense. It should be, I mitigate the movement and do some clever moving around. I just declare X amount of charges so that I get the right amount of units in to fight. That's so Activation Wars in the bin. And then shooting in AOS, I just think there should be shooting that's like, you should have war machines that can shoot kind of far, that are quite swingy, and then you should just have some short range shooting. I think anything that's like 30-inch shooting, and that's bollocks. Just stick it down to 18, bring that down, put that into effect. And then KO is a super cool army, but they should just have a better model range that just has access to more stuff. Simple put. I don't know, make the Arcanauts badasses in combat or something. Just give them something cool. They don't need to be gun platforms. Can we start a petition for Games Workshop Meals to bring back the Goblin Doom Diver with scatter dice? Yes. Blood Tithe summoning seems fine as someone who uses it. Blood Tithe is also super limiting as well. I like Blood Tithe because it really works off. I mean, you have to give Games Workshop some credit. They do have a lot of mechanics for different armies, some of which work, some of which don't, some of which are a bit lazy, just the Tides, just cool, here's some more abilities. It's a bit lazy, whereas Blood Tithe mechanic is a lot more elegant, and that seems to work. So there's lots of they have lots of rules to try and develop and balance. And develop is the key word. The develop is the key word. One of the conversations that we have on the show, or I imagine people have about the show, this show specifically, is that we're we're super negative. And I don't think that's what critical review is. I think discussing something between ourselves or with people who are really good at stuff or whoever, analysing what these things are and why they're good or why they're bad is really useful to help develop the next iteration of what those things could look like and be. Understanding, if you go back and look at the Sylvaneth review that me and Jonathan did, I was the Games Workshop just didn't understand the Sylvaneth book because they just didn't understand it. Making it so you still had to take trees, and then it just didn't work. They didn't understand the book. So hopefully they're starting to develop upon their own ideas. I don't want to see ideas just thrown away. Activation Wars I want to see thrown away, but I'd like to see them develop on their ideas and understand why they're doing something. I guess it's just the slow time development that we see, because it's a book every X years or whatever it is. Having blocking line of sight, says Ian Marley, could help mitigate teleporting mechanics because you can have only have one palisade. Lol, yeah, that's true. Blocking line of sight, blocking terrain would be really useful. I also think that units should suffer damage when they are teleported. I don't think Gork throws grots or Uruks gently. I agree with that as well. Blood Tithe, yeah, what if you had to roll you had to roll a dice for every model in the unit on a roll of a 1, that unit died? like, or one of those models died, something like that. But I still don't. I think I just get rid of teleporting anyway. Okay. All right. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out today. It's just been nice getting back in the seat, to be honest. Like, it's been a rough couple of days, so I just needed today to sit, chill, talk to you guys, unwind. So thanks very much for that. I appreciate that loads. Join us tomorrow. We'll have a star-studded crew of people hanging out. Monday's show. Obviously, we'll be talking about all of the 80 Sigma tournament results, if they're only this weekend. Let's find out. And then Monday's show, we'll be talking about Broken Realms, which I'm very much looking forward to. So I hope you do join us for that. I hope you're all well. Look after yourselves. Stay healthy, especially all my guys in the UK, just because lockdown now. So I think it might start getting to people, and I just want everyone to know that there's always people out there, and we're here every day for the stream streak. That's the point of the show. To sit, chalk shit, hang out, have fun. And so please do join us. And then I'll see you guys soon. Thanks to everyone on Patreon. Thanks to everyone on the podcast. And thank you to everyone who's joined us live. You guys are great. And I'll see you soon. Bye.